all heard this before, but he said to me, take a photo, show me something that can't be seen. So I went out there to find something that couldn't be seen, and it was the Chinese restaurant. And it was not a Thai shop.
There was a shopping trolley along the front of a
yeah, no, there was a Thai shop. Yeah, actually, it's on the... yeah, so I think it's that one as you walk in, which is a pretty average photo now. But yeah, so everyone stepped in, I got up and I took photos, and that was the change of everything for me with my photography, because then straight away I realised that there's more to shoot than pretty landscapes, and you don't need to throw Photoshop at things to make an interesting image. So yeah. Okay, so we're back to on that little segue.
Finally, after 10 or 11 years of this competition and you and I talking, you finally added and admitted there was tyres.
Yeah, there's tyres.
Thank you.
All right, go.
This one, I enjoy the mixture of traditional type of techniques, and then we've got this overlay of almost illustration in terms of the cityscapes. The perspective, the curvature through that perspective is quite quite mesmerising when you look at it, and the addition of the birds in the sky fills in that negative space, because without them, if you look at the bottom, you've got these lines running through, so that becomes quite empty. And I just thought it was very clever. There's a lot going on in this image, and putting it all together in the way they did and the balance that was achieved is probably one of the reasons that it's ended up in the top 40. So well done to Dianne Kelsey. Well done, Dianne.
This is one that straight away struck me as an interesting image, because it's something that is so simple. It's like this is the sort of thing you go out looking for when you walking around with your camera, trying to find something that's a new angle, a different sort of composition. And I just loved those white pillars. I believe it's down in Mandurah, Tony was saying. Could be down in Mandurah, the war memorial thing down there. So I love the fact that those pillars are so strong and they kind of slightly converge to the middle of the frame, and that beautiful pastel blue sky. Really, it's all about simplicity. You go out and quite often, and I do it all the time, and Tony does it most of the time. We put too much into our images. That was a joke, Tony, by the way. I was waiting for him to bite. We put too much in. We go out and we photograph everything, and sometimes you just need to reduce that right back, and all the images that struck me the most during this competition were the ones that are the most simple, and this is definitely one of them.
Chad, well done, Chad. Another one that pretty much straight away grabbed both of us, primarily due to its simplicity, and again, this is right down the throat of what Bill, the curator, was trying to sell to us. Something super simple. And when you look at it, I often talk to people about when you're looking at an image, to break it down into elements. What is actually in the picture? Really just simplify it. Well, there's sky, clouds, concrete wall, and green grass. And then just to give you a point of difference, or an anchor if you like, there's a red cone, which was one of the things that I think a lot of us picked up off Jeffrey Smart, the way he would use things like that. But it's that clever use of hard lines and soft lines. We look at the manicured lawn that leads up to this beautiful concrete wall, and most people don't think of beauty in concrete, but it is. I've had a fascination for concrete for a long time, and all of that is kind of opposed to this soft, fluffy clouds, and that's even accentuated by the pastel nature of that soft cloud and the soft blues in the sky. So it's this lovely little nice soft balance and rhythm between the sky and the clouds and this harshness of concrete, but the whole image has been softened, so you're not looking at a hard construction area or building, you're looking at something soft. And I love the way that narrative's been brought through. And again, the cone is there. What? Did he yeah. Well done, Olivia.
It's like the Academy Awards.
La La Land. No.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're talking too much, so they just go on with the music. Good on your time. I love this photo. This is one of my favourites, and I had to be dragged away from this one, kicking and screaming, to look at some of the others, because I just love the fact that there's the plastic bags floating there, and it just gave me all these ideas. It's like, oh, why haven't I put a plastic bag in any of my photos yet? Because I think it's fantastic, and obviously, maybe that's the photo of the plastic bag going out of the car window as they drove past and did all that, and it was just good timing. But I don't think so. I think they've actually put that in either in post, or they've stood there and thrown the plastic bag up in the air a few times in their scene. So what you could do in this instance, obviously you would have your camera set up on a tripod, you could photograph that scene, and then you can get someone to push the button for you while you're in there throwing your plastic bag up in the air numerous times until you get the right shape, and then you just rub yourself out because you layer it up in Photoshop and you rub yourself out of the shot, if you know what I mean.
Or you could just...
Chad Peacock again.
Or you could just see a plastic bag floating by and be clever enough to notice it. And I was just thinking, you don't own plastic bags, being the environmentalist that you are, and you'd be using a paper bag, yeah. That's two. All right, let's move on to the next one. Again, a real clever combination of elements, and I think the thing that struck us first in this was the use of primary colour. Green, red, blue, obviously close to a photographer's heart, but it was that simple use of colour and the strength of that colour that drags you in. That's where the impact comes from. And then the clever overlay of, I love the giveaway sign, but the shadow's slightly different because of the angle of the light. We're getting a different sort of narrative coming through from the shadow. And just the use of lines coming in, leading you in and around the picture. A lot of the images in this urban landscape or this banal area, I don't know if we can really claim it to be always banal, because one of the things I've learned from listening to the fine art contemporaries about banal is there's another layer to it that I don't always feel I understand. But so sometimes it's not as banal as it is just beautiful geometry, architecture, use of colour, shape, texture, form, and putting them in together in a way that makes it pleasing to look at. But the thing it does have in common is it's the sort of thing that most people don't even stop to look at, let alone take a photograph. And it was I was listening to Christian's podcast with Hans Strand today. Hans Strand. What did I say? Strand. Hans Strand. That's the one, Hans Strand. And I loved his comment. He said, putting four corners around something to create a picture. And you know, I think that's the cleverness of something like this, is finding where those four corners are to put all the colours, the shapes, the textures in the right place to hold you in the image and give you a reason to travel around it. So congratulations to Richard Goodwin. Well done, Richard.
This is in the one-person category, I believe, Ben. I don't know where that is, but I'd love to go there. I think it's an amazing place. A really strong image. Obviously, what I like to get in my images is a sense of scale. And it's always, sometimes people will go, oh, I think, you know, someone's in my shot, I'll wait for them to leave. No, make sure you photograph them in your shot, because you never know when you might be able to use them down the track. And I do know, I said to Tony, this is kind of like a Peter Eastway. And I know Peter Eastway does use people in his shots, because he actually made Tony stand at Sugarloaf Rock with an umbrella in the rain, or without an umbrella. Without an umbrella. In the 49 winds in the rain. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so if you have a friend with you, make sure you use them and get them to stand in your shot. But I love the viewpoint, possibly shot from the other side of the building. I'm not sure if it's shot from a drone or not, but it's very illustrative and nicely handled. Liz Barker.
This does remind me of one of those first images from the tyre shop. The yellows and the blues and the simplicity, and again, the sense of scale. And I think what you find is in common with a lot of these sort of abstract urban shots is that looking for that one little anchor, whether it's a cone, you know, the red cone it seems to be a common one, but a hydrant is another one, a letterbox, you know, the old pillbox letterboxes that used to be around, there's not many of them left anymore, but just something small that looks like, you know, it belongs there, but it stands out because of its colour, because it's different to everything else. And because of that, all of that basicness of the background, I mean, it's really just walls and, you know, grids, and there's nothing really of interest there. So we just have this one point that holds us in the picture and allows us to explore something that we don't normally take time to explore. And we can start to appreciate things. And, you know, I was talking to this is going back, it's somebody I have worked with anyway, he's an architect. And one of the things he, not complain, but he said, you know, it's kind of makes him sad at times that he tries to talk about how he gets so excited about things like texture and shape and form. He says most people just don't even take time to think about it. They walk into a building, they don't take time. And I think these sort of images, the vibrancy of the yellow against the blue, we all know blue and yellow kind of works nicely together. And in this case, using that soft blues and dark blues to sort of bookend the yellow has worked really well. And there you go, you got that anchor of the hydrant down the bottom. So congratulations to Mary Jo Gomez-Jackson. Taxi!
First place gets an all expenses paid exhibition at the Bunker Gallery. All expenses paid, so that means big prints, expensive paper, framing, food, grog, fine wine, French champagne. Not with me in it. And Ilford. Of course, it's there. Kim Peacock. Go away. He's the man. Of course, Ilford have beautiful papers, so you can print on beautiful Ilford papers. They sell good cameras. No, they don't sell cameras, but C.R. Kennedy's sell the cameras. So if you want to buy a nice little camera, you can get one of those. Oh, we've moved on. I love this style of photography. This is my favourite thing to do, to go out and find weird, wonderful things, back alleys, just the places that most people would just go past and not want to venture into. This photographer's, what I really love about this photograph is the composition. Everything lines up perfectly for me. You've got obviously the use of the rule of thirds is really strong in this, and also I love that the fact that the background has that interest, which is the car, because it looks like a bit of a dodgy car as well, which kind of helps. And in 20 years' time, that'll look like an old dodgy car, which is even better. But it kind of reminds me of that Stephen Shaw sort of style photography, which is so interesting to look at. The sign, another Chinese restaurant. It's got to be a good photograph if it's got a Chinese restaurant in it. The sign's got a little arrow there, and it's pointing to that corner, and that to me is sort of indicating that that's where the tension lies. It's down in that corner behind that car. Because what is this place? What is that car doing there? Why? And what's that toilet doing there? I mean, that was pretty handy. It's pretty handy to have a toilet there, but it's kind of weird. So the whole scene is strange, and it's not what we're used to seeing. And I love that. I love that exploration into these spaces that are a little bit edgy and a little bit different. So well done, Stuart.
Probably a good time just to say hi to all those people who are watching from the eastern states, New Zealand, US, UK, Europe, Sweden, Antarctica, and Peter Eastway. Yes. This was one for me that I jumped all over as soon as it came out. And again, there's a narrative. A lot of these, when you start getting the signs and you start playing with the perspective that allows us to read signs, and sometimes the signs make sense and sometimes they don't make sense. But one of the things that strikes me with these sort of images when it's a frozen piece with four corners on it is that often the narrative is not something that a driver would normally stop and think about. We don't always give way when we should. We're often looking at things where it's obvious that it's the way out, but we don't take real conscious notice of what we're looking at. And when we see photos of these sort of things, sometimes the arrows work against each other. I think we've got a few images that were entered in the 500 or so where you get an arrow one way and it says don't go this way, and those sort of things kind of make you stop and think, well, who thought of this? And maybe from a different perspective they all make sense, but some photographer, he or she has found an angle that kind of changes the narrative. And I think that's what I love about this. Again, great use of simple colour, very clean. Like all the images down there in the top 40 and many of the others, the technical level of finish, hey Fletch, was just outstanding, really outstanding. And I've got to take this moment too to just, on behalf of all the entrants, to thank Ben on printing such beautiful work. He did a great job printing. Well done, Ben. But going back to the image, we've got a beautiful mix of curved lines, soft lines. You've got the curvature happening obviously with the roadway and the circles, but then you've got these beautiful hard lines. So it's this mixture of soft and hard, harsh colours, soft colours, etc. And just putting it all together in a way that allows us to travel around it. And again, there's nothing on the edge. It's a clean edge. It holds us in the middle, but it also gives us a direction. And this was done by Liz Barker. Well done, Liz.
Liz has got a lot. I'm doing this again.
Both got Epson printers.
All right. Yeah, I got 2 Epson printers. I love my Epson printers. I'd love a P906 Epson if you're listening. Epson, if you're listening.
I'd like one.
We've got to win second place if we're gonna get one of those. So yeah, second place. Thank you, Epson. Thanks, Ben. Second place is going to get one of those bad boys. Okay, this was an image that was really interesting because. It's obviously been manipulated, so it looks very painterly, and you've probably seen it downstairs. They're using repetition in the image to make it stronger, but it's also just the treatment, and it looks to me like they've used the mixer brush to make it more painterly. And I kind of like the fact that the artist has put their hand to the piece and made it a little bit more of themselves. So, okay, so some people say that, if you're going to do that, why don't you just paint it? We're photographers, this is what we do. And I think by adding these little extra elements to our photos, they can make them stronger or interesting and beautiful to us and really nice to look at. I really love the way it was done because it does look very painterly. So, yeah, loved it. Christine.
Another one that, for me, and I think for Fletch, kind of reminiscent of that Jeffrey Smart influence that's been coming through over the years. And we say Jeffrey Smart, but to be fair, locally and within Australia, the influence has been continued by so many of the photographers that in this room and are watching live, because they've taken this style and they've really taken it into their own and produced some incredible stuff. Again, here's an example of what I was talking about before. You've got a sign obviously telling you to go one way and it's telling you can't go that way. And it's that perspective that photographers find where they combine these elements in a way that maybe they're not meant to be combined in real life because they don't make as much sense. But by freezing them, and as Hans Strand would say, put 4 corners around, they force us to see it through a different perspective. And the use of colour, again, clean colours. We've seen a lot of this downstairs. There's a lot of images this year that were very clean colours, like separation between the different hues and not this blending through the hues. And I find that quite attractive. It's quite fresh, and it gives the image a lot of impact. And again, soft skies. The background is soft skies, soft clouds, and you've got the hardness of what man does and the softness of nature. Great, well put together, interesting narrative and strong composition, good use of colour. And Liz Barker, again. Wow.
Lighten it up, but then keep the very darkest darks dark. Does that make sense?
Yeah, darkest darks stay dark.
Yeah, yeah. You add all this life, you add this pastelness to the image, and this has that in spades. I love the colours; they're very on trend, and I'd love to have that hanging in my house. It's really interesting.
So Fletch, you like the lightest darks to be a bit lighter, and the darkest darks to be darker, but the lightest lights to be even lighter.
Yep, something like that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Sigma, $1,000 lens voucher, so you can spend that on whatever you like. And the beautiful thing about Sigma lenses, of course, is pretty much whatever camera system you're using, you'll find a lens that will suit your system. So we thank Sigma for the opportunity for somebody to go out and find a lens that absolutely fits the gap that they may have in their lens range. Whoever gets in 3rd place. So you'll have to win 3rd place as well now, Fletch.
Yeah,
and you can't.
I love Sigma lenses. I must say they are super sharp and super awesome. Okay,
Tell everybody. Super sharp and super awesome. maybe talk about this. You like this one?
This image is special. I find this to be. There was something about it. Initially, when I looked at it, I was kind of like, oh yeah, you kind of get overwhelmed by all the colour, and all of a sudden you get this black and white image, and then you start to look at it a little bit closer. And for me, there was something that really it's more emotional, this image, than the others. And I did say to Tony, I think this, I'm definitely probably wrong and I'm going out on a limb, but I'm saying it must be taken by a woman, because it's much more emotion, and men are just kind of analytical and they're hard. But I'm probably wrong, and I'll probably get in trouble, and I probably shouldn't say this on live TV, but I just said it. But women are generally more creative, and they're more in touch with their feelings. And unlike Tony, Tony is the most touchy-feely guy I've ever met, and he's in touch with his feelings. I'm not. I'm very, I'm the opposite. So this is why I'm saying it now. I'm getting myself in a really big hole. Yeah. Anyway, back to the image. It's got this. It's beautiful in that it's hard concrete. It's got all that stuff dripping down, which to me looks like raindrops or water or something down on a window pane. But then you've got just the hint of the tree there in the corner, and that shadow. And it's like nature is this soft, wonderful thing that we have, but it's down in this dark shadow. There is a bit of light around that nature, but it's been sort of, it's almost like a, what's the word, like a nightmarish sort of image in some respects, because, not to say in a bad nightmare, but it's like it's a great statement for how we are and how we've removed ourselves from nature, and how nature is being sort of, not sort of thought of as much, and it's in the dark and it's been hidden. It's down below. What we do as humans and what we create is put up higher than anything else, and higher than our ecosystems and our animals and all that other stuff. So for me, it was a very strong image, and I loved it, and that's my spiel. And and I'm going to get off now.
Just before we go to the next one, just on that, one of the discussions we had down there judging, and then somebody asked me in the audience earlier, when you're choosing, like often if you do a judging course, and I know there's a lot of good judges in this room, often there's the criteria you follow. And when you've got such a good range of pictures, the 40 down there represent maybe another 100, 150 that could have been in that 40. So how do you separate them? At the end of the day, you go through is it sharp? Is it composed? Is there a good composition? Is there any narrative or purpose? It doesn't have to be a narrative, but is it an expression of beauty? Whatever. So we're looking at quality. We're looking at all these things. But at the end of the day, you can end up with 30, 40 prints that all tick the boxes. So how do you separate them? And that's where two other, cronies, two people with far more knowledge, experience and justification than us could go down there and come up with a complete different set. So what is it? And it really comes down to that resonance, that what is it that attracts you? And, Christian and I went down there and we walk around, talk about the ones that are standing out, and a lot of them are different because we are different. We're unique individuals like everyone in this room. So when you get to this level, I think it's that finding that. As photographers, we're all trying to do that with our images. We go and we learn off others and we have our style and we try to create an image that's more than just the sum total of the physical parts people can see. There's an X factor, and I think that's what we're seeing in a lot of these. That sometimes it's even hard for us, and the hardest part doing this is not judging them and not picking them. It's standing up here and giving you the reasons, because sometimes those reasons aren't even clear to us, are they? No. We just know that...
What are you saying, Tony?
What I'm saying is, obviously you've had 40, 50 years experience, I've had a lot less. But obviously you're seeing so many pictures that you get a feel for that's strong. There's something about that. I'm going to remember it. The hardest part sometimes is articulating it. And I'm not saying we're not doing that well, but sometimes there's pictures you look at and you'd really love to say, look, there's something about this image that just really sings, and that's why I'm giving it. But we're trying to give you a bit more. So hopefully that's helping. Sure, let's move on. What's that?
I'm sure a girl took that photo.
We'll find out.
No, it wasn't Mark. It was a guy. I was wrong.
He's a lawyer. That's as far as you get.
Is he a lawyer?
All right.
I love your image, Mark.
Okay, so There wasn't a lot of aerials, was there, this year that made it into the 40, which was quite interesting because if you go back a few years, there was a hell of a lot of aerials got through, which just shows that genre of the aerial is settling in to the mix quite nicely and not getting up there just purely because of that. So this had to be a bit stronger. It couldn't just get there because of aerial. I love the disconnect that jetty provides us, and there's a really wonderful narrative and story about something that's had its time, it's weathered, it's aging, it's dangerous, all of those things. And being one of the images that's entered about the special category, the person or whatever it is, we see the little kayaker up there, which almost, it gives us scale, and Fletch talked about scale, but it also helps me place myself in the image. This idea of still being able to explore things that are probably just down the road at the local harbour. Good use of the beach line to give us a full step on the story, so it's not just running us out of the picture. And I like the fact that the kayaker, whether it was by design or by good luck, the photographer has allowed them to be in that darker area, which fills in that and gives us a point of interest over there. So overall, the whole narrative of it, you read left to right, you keep going back because the beach stops you. The textural quality through that jetty against the soft greens, really strong image, loved it.
I think if they had taken the photo, like maybe a couple of seconds later, that black shark on the middle top there would have taken that guy out and would have been much more interesting. But anyway, let's go. Jason.
Well done, Jason.
I like to see someone standing looking out of the frame. You know, they say, oh, you should always make sure the person or the subject's pointing into the frame. I think it's great when they are looking out of the frame. And in this case, that guy is... He's obviously on his phone. Oh, is it a lady? Oh my God. I'm having trouble with gender at the moment. Is it? Okay. I love it when a lady looks out of a frame. It's great because the image is quite balanced. It's very symmetrical. If you look at the tree, it's pretty much in the middle. Both sides of the frame kind of mimic each other. So you've got this really strong central theme, but then by having that person off to the side and looking out of the frame, it just gives it a different quality and it adds something to it. If you took that person out, it wouldn't be quite as good. Again, with the scale in there, that kind of adds something to the mix. But I really like the treatment of this one. I like the fact that it's not overblown with colour. The sky is pastel. The cloud is hidden by the tree. Which is quite nice that it's actually there. Whether it was actually there or what was put in post, it doesn't matter. It's the idea that's important. So yeah, very, very nice.
Well done, Cully. Azo, have you got an ASO monitor?
No, I don't actually.
Haven't you? No. How many people in the room got an ASO monitor? There you go. There's a few. Yeah. Sorry. Everyone. Yeah. Yeah. I got 4. I'm not going to brag.
You got 4.
It's really cool having 3. Anyway, ASO is part of the first prize. So the person who wins first prize will obviously get to use the phase 1. Plus they get an exhibition. But obviously the phase 1 you've got to give back or you buy, which is, I'd say buy it. That's my choice. You also get the exhibition, which will be fantastic. But in order to produce, so you're going to get a phase 1. So you can go out and shoot some of the best quality files you'll ever see in your life. And you're going to have a chance to bring them down to one of the best galleries in Australia to show them and printing on some great paper, printed by a master blaster himself. But in the editing process, it's really important that whatever you're looking at in terms of a screen is telling you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I've been using ASO for over 17 years, and one of the 3 that sits in my main workstation was my first 17-inch ASO monitor, and it still sits there as part of my setup. And it's about 16. It's beautiful. But yeah, so ASO, great job. All right, is it my turn? I think it is. Yeah. This is a really clever, complicated image that's been beautifully handled, which is why it's ended up where it has. I love the gold colour palette that's coming through, and I use the word gold, and some people may not, but I just felt that when I looked at it, everything's leading me into this, almost this chaos in the middle. But when you take time, and if you do get a chance to go down and have another look at the print, because it leads you in and it all starts to make sense. So these new buildings, we see a lot more risk-taking and a lot more adventure and creativity in Australian buildings, which has been prevalent overseas for a lot longer, but we're seeing it here now. the opportunity to find angles that just don't seem to exist for normal eyes and bring them back to everybody, because often it's a corner or a place that nobody else would stop at and see. And I think it's been really, really well handled. It's almost like using this building to create that Escher stairs and things like that. It just keeps taking you in and in and in and in. Again, great quality, good use of tones. We go from some really dark tones in the bottom up to these nice high key tones. So it's running us through about 6 or 7 different layers of tones and then utilising all the shapes of the building to lead us in. Clever work. Who did it? Dianne Kelsey. Well done.
It's a lot of tones, Tone.
A lot of tones.
Another one in the that urban banal sort of sensibility, if that's a way to describe it. I love this image. I love the fact that the stop sign is crooked, because if that was straight with everything else, it would actually, everything's a little bit crooked in this image. So it just goes to show how shitty this town must be, because they couldn't put anything together properly. Well, actually, there was one pole on the right there, which is nice and straight, but everything else has got a bit of a lean on it. Now, I'm not sure where this is, but it looks to me somewhere very dire. And if you look at the street name, it's
on East Street.
East Street? E Street or?
8th Street and East.
8 what?
East 8th Street.
Oh, that's hard. So it's got to be somewhere in America, because I can't imagine it. We'd have street names like that. But it's a great image. It's like you've just can't turn a corner and you've come across this scene. It's like it's as raw as it gets with this style. And for me, that's what this kind of category is about. It's about that kind of urban banal. These places that you go to that you find beauty in, no matter what's there. And I think it's well captured and well spotted. Oh, Stewie.
I love this picture. I love the tones of it. The blues really drew me right in. I love the fact that without the red cone in this particular image, the two would kind of pull me out, but those two balance each other just nicely. The central use of the light to bring it in. So this is where the vignetting, and I'll use the word vignetting, it doesn't look like a circle and all that, but yes, I feel like there's a push using the light or the shadow, if you like, to bring us into the middle. Everything's leading us to where it needs us to go, but tells us nothing. We can't see through the doors. We don't know what's behind it. Again, great use of leading lines, perspective, where we've got the parking bays all taking us in on angles. So much of what we do now, we want to straighten everything up. But often it's about that angular use of perspective that is the narrative, and it is the story, and it gives it depth, and it gives it purpose. So the fact that we've got all this dragging us in, and if you start at the bottom, it takes you into the doors, the light pushes us down, and yet when we get there, we can't go anywhere. That's one of the reasons I felt that this was really strong, along with the fact that this great use of deep blues against the red really resonated for me. Olivia Vincent. Well done, Olivia.
I had to correct my eyes and blink a few times to work out if I was just seeing blurriness or what. This is a beautiful image, and it's if you go downstairs and look at that, that's just the colour, the blues and the pastels. It's just stunning. I love the fact that it has that movement. So it's kind of like, we go out and photograph things, and quite often we get up and we do the same thing every time we go out. We know how to shoot. We think, let's go out and get some photos. You're generally on autopilot. So this photographer's decided they wanted to increase the camera movement so that they can change the whole scene. I mean, you're looking at that, it's almost hard to work out what it is, and whether it's part of a building or whether it's some scene. It's even hard to work out what the scale is on that. But what you do get is this beautiful softness and pastels that are just stunning to look at, and would make a beautiful print and to hang in anyone's home, I reckon.
This was mesmerising in its sort of harshness. It was it's a masculine image, and I don't mean masculine.
Hang on, here we go. Photograph by a woman. Let's not go to the Tony. I've done that.
Have you finished?
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. I see imagery has masculine and feminine qualities. I see photographers with masculine and feminine qualities. And for me, this is very hard-edged. It's got that, obviously through the shape, everything's about corners and all of those things. And the only thing that softens this image is the figure. And that aspect of it, and even the use of the dark tones, it's a very contrasty image in its own right, although it's still, the highlights aren't super bright. So everything's been held down, but we've got deep, rich blacks where they need to be blacks. And it's got this mesmerizing sense of perspective because, again, we see this issues. I keep using that word, but it seems to pull us in and out. It's almost like you can't settle on what you're looking at. And then the placement and the singular figure just softens it and gives this incredible scale. But it also throws a level of curiosity or query because you think you know what it is, and then you're thinking maybe it's just something quite small scaled or just the side of a small building, and then you see the person, it doesn't make sense. And I love the way that they've taken something and put it together like this that is intriguing and holds the attention of the viewer. And beautifully printed and presented. Whose is it? Olivia Vincent. There you go.
It'd be really good to find out how that actually was done because it's really interesting. Leo Photo, a Poseidon tripod. Apparently this thing goes underwater, so if you want to take the phase kit underwater. yeah. That's from Leo Photo. That's a special category. So anyone that has done a single person will get one of those. Thanks from Leo Photo. Oh, and yeah. Oh, but no, everyone can get one, but they have to pay for it. I love negative space, and this is when you go on an ND5 trip. There's a lot of negative space. No, actually, it's not. It's a very creative environment where people help each other out and encourage each other all the time.
Well, most of us do.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Pete, if you're listening. This is, I love this style. Everyone knows I love this style. I like the fact that there is so much negative space in this. That if you find these scenes, obviously the photographer thought that by getting a higher viewpoint and eliminating what was below, would become a stronger image. It would obviously become a more simple image, and who knows what's down below it. It's probably there's probably things that are distracting and aren't going to add to it. So it's good in that respect that it's nice and simple. I love the concrete and blue. You just can't go wrong with a nice cyan and concrete. I think those two things go together perfectly. So you just need those two things in a shot, and I'm happy. So I love this for that reason.
That's the formula for next year. Yeah. I want to congratulate the photographer for putting this in because we have started to see a few of these, but it caught both of us because it was just so beautifully detailed. These incredible detail. The amount, the more you put in an image, the harder it is to keep it all under control, particularly when there's so much going on. We did look, there's no bodies in it, and so it can't go in the specialist category, although, somebody in there might have worked well, or a person walking. But again, simple composition, but done with a very, very complicated set of contents. We drive around, we move around. There's an overall shape that holds itself within the four corners that Hans would be happy about. But at the same time, we can go in and explore every corner, every part of this real estate, and there's something interesting in there. The sort of subtle tempered tones. It's not hard, it's soft, and it's been managed and squashed a little bit, if you like, just to keep it all fairly flat. I think it lends itself. So none of those bright colours really jump off the page. They all get an equal say. And I just think the way it's been put together, we had to include it in our 40 as well. It was a strong image and jumped out at both of us. Well done, Peter North.
Colour, it's about the shape, it's about the tonality of that image, that print that you make. And if you can get colours that go nicely together, you're halfway there to creating a beautiful composition. This one's got, it's obviously got a guy in the left-hand corner. I'm not sure what he was doing standing there. He was obviously, just checking his phone, perhaps. Very strange pose, but I love the curved line in the image and the porthole windows. I think they add to the composition. And that little curve leads you down to that sign on the bottom right-hand corner, which, what does it say, Tim?
Open house.
Open house, absolutely. But for me, it was all about the strong colours that worked so nicely in this image.
Well done, Mark. Case filters. I'm sure most of you at some point have played around with filters, and case, one of the prizes will be a case filter kit, and that'll go along with the Leo light. Is it Leo tripod? The underwater tripod, yep. So the special category. So we thank Case for that beautiful prize, and I'm sure that'll even enhance somebody's creativity, whoever wins it. I've seen this building before, this structure, and probably some of you would have driven through it. It's really quite powerful, and one of the challenges is to include it in a photo where it will obviously dominate, but allow other things to be part of the narrative. The perspective of that road coming through underneath like that and that curve, I think, gives purpose to the bottom of the image, and placing the figure in the frame gives us an incredible sense of scale. If you take that person out, even though there's a certain sense of scale with the bird and the lamppost, it's the person that really screams at you and says, just how big is this strange concrete structure? So the composition is very strong. Placing a bird or capturing the bird as it flew through the frame in the top right fills in that space that, although, yes, like Fletch, you know, we both love negative space, I think in this image it's so busy in the bottom left, you needed something to anchor that space at the top. Interesting texture to bring a sort of a mood over this image, which is quite an interesting way to present the narrative, but it does provide us with a different sort of shot of this particular image in a way that sort of takes it from what would be a straight shot to gives us a point of interest, I suppose, that we didn't have before. Well done, well composed, well seen. Who is it? Susi Nodding. Well done, Susi.
This one is on trend. It's awesome. I love it. I love the colours of this. I love the fact that there's virtually no blacks in this at all. It's pretty much all light. I'd be interested to see what the histogram's like on this image, but I just love those colours together. I mean, the sky is actually kind of green, and maybe it will be one day in the future if we keep doing what we're doing. But it's the simple composition and the colour that stands out so much on this image. It's that the rule of thirds is used well. You've got the negative space. It's all those things. You know, you don't need to put much into a photograph to make it interesting and to make it, you know, hold place on a wall. And I always say when I'm photographing, would I hang it on my wall? And this is one that I would hang on my wall in a heartbeat.
Yeah, often in today's world with our photos, when we present them, put them on walls, a lot of people look at the work and based on some of the media we use, inkjet prints and matte prints and textured prints and so on, cotton rags, people often struggle to see them as being photographs. And this is one of those images that if you printed it on the rag, it wouldn't just be because of the media that gives you that feeling. It's the use of colour, it's the use of the shapes, and it's almost not comical, but the way it's put together, but it's real. And that's what I love about it. We see these things in public spaces. Again, the use of the sky to give us a realisation that this is a real place. Whether the sky's been dropped in or not, I don't care, because I've seen these spaces and I've seen these clear skies with the white clouds, puffy clouds. But it's that busyness down there, and then by utilising the strong composition, making sure that these two dark areas with the triangles balance each other, it just settles our eye on what is quite a cacophony of shape and colour. Wow. You like that? Yeah. I nearly got it wrong. Yeah. I nearly cocked it up. But a cacophony of shape and colour, and yet by putting those there and settling us with the blue of the foreground, the blue of the sky, and those two, we can settle and hold and start to see all of the games that are included. So it's actually a really powerful narrative, as much as it is quite a pop art type of picture that would look great on a lot of walls, a lot of living areas. I can see this being used in terms of decor, but as a piece of art, it works really well too. So who's that? Liz Barker. Well done, Liz.
Third place, datacolor, Spider X Pro. That was easy. So if you come third, what is it? I don't know. What's the Spider X Pro? Aye, that's what it is, everybody. I've done that once. We should all do it. we should all calibrate our monitors. Yes, this guy is definitely checking his phone. Was he checking his phone, Tony? That's a guy. He's checking his phone. Phew, I got that part right. I like this image for the strong shapes. You've got the straight, obviously, or the diagonals, and then you've got that round structure as well. It's also got a very subtle color palette. So it's in that respect, it's simple. So a simple color palette, simple shapes, not too much going on apart from those shapes. And obviously that guy in the corner, the stairs leading your eyes from the top left and the bottom left, those stairs lead you into the guy who's standing there. So there is a lot of diagonals that go through this image. So it's almost like you can trace a Z shape, depending on how many beers you've had, all through that image, and they all kind of lead down to that guy. So that was placed quite well.
Again, like all the images, I was just listening to Christian, and I'm thinking how many of the images, as we've gone on over the last few years, it still comes down to this clever and conscious use of shape and colour and texture and putting them together in a way that makes sense but ultimately has an inherent balance within the frame. That we look at the picture and it all seems to fit nicely and it all seems to balance each other out. All of these strong detailed glass and architectural lines all leading up, but balanced out by a piece of nature, a tree, which is just sort of sitting up there with a softness, but not so soft because it's a pine tree. And then placing the figure in it, which leads us to what's on the other side. Did I say a palm tree or pine tree? So I say pine tree. It's a palm tree. Palm oil, I was trying to, anyway. But having the tree above, to me, the two halves, again, we're seeing images where there's a lot with urban stuff and a lot of the street photography, which doesn't include people. We see this balance between what nature provides, which often is just the sky and a few palm trees or pine trees or whatever, but also architecture. So there's so much going on in the bottom that if we came into the bottom and got stuck there, but the figure for me leads me up into something that's a lot more simpler and calmer. And that, I think, is the strength of this image. Without the person in it, it would still work, but I'd feel like it was very busy at the bottom. But the person is guiding me up and over the top. So really good use of negative space. I love the subtlety of the tones. It's all been sort of, again, open up the mid-tones, open up the details, and it seems to be quite a common trend, but it works in this image. Whose is it? Liz Barker again. Well done. Come on. There's a few names popping up a few times.
Liz, you spent a bit of time in lockdown, didn't you? Is that the roof of the Novotel? Is it someone's like escaping to get out? No, maybe not. This is a really clever image. It's a beautiful image. It's got there's something. What is kind of Zen? Is it Zen? What do you say? Zen? It's a bit of Zen. I don't know what Zen actually means, but it's got a bit of Zen in it. And you probably all agree with Tony and I that it's very. It's this simplicity. It's also the colour. Now, if you go down, it's got these beautiful pastel light kind of, that peachy colour. Yeah, the colours are different downstairs than they are here on the screen. So, it's almost like there's two images put together. Now, I'm not sure how it was put together, whether there is two images or whether it was actually like that, and maybe the tree was put in after onto that lighter blue background. But it doesn't matter how it was constructed. It's all about how it makes you feel and what is the end result. And for me, the balance of the image, the fact that you've got the hard black edge of the window on the left, mimicking the black tree, the nature, and then you've got the two colours in the window of the tree and the peachy colour, which is peachy downstairs, in that window. They are opposites. So everything about it is so pleasing to look at. It's almost like graphic design, but it was composed in such a way that there's this harmony and there's this I don't know, it's like quiet. Would you call it quietness? This beauty, and that shadow that's cast across the wall there is special as well. It's just a bunch of shapes with a tree, but for some reason it works really, really well.
Oh, well done, Dianne. People's Choice Chromolux, true to your vision, 24 by 36 glossy panel. If you haven't had a Chromolux print done, whoever wins is going to be super stoked, because such a beautiful, vibrant way to present your imagery, particularly with some of the colours we're seeing on some of the entries here. So whoever the people have chosen for that, congratulations to whoever that is going to be. Are you going to announce that tonight as well, or? 6 weeks? Oh, that's right, because you want people to come and see all this, don't you? Fantastic. All right. Okay. Okay, speaking about cacophony of stuff, this made the top 40 purely because we didn't know what it was at first. Well, they started. I just think it's very clever, good use of sectional pieces to create an image to me that's made up of all the detail of a busy intersection and tells us a little bit about traffic and people, chaos, and people not showing where they're going. And what I find really strange, I'm just going to show you, is like these seem to be following a line. I look at that car and I keep thinking, what? That's supposed to be following this. So it kind of, for me, is a bit of a statement that, while most people follow the rules, there's always one that's going to make everything complicated for everybody else. Again, one of the few black and whites. And good use of tone through from black to white, and as I said, the very nature of the choice of creating something that's made up of images that are already complicated and almost complicating it further enhanced for me the strong narrative that I think this image was about. So whose is this? Congratulations, Olivia Vincent. Clever.
Okay, I'm a bit of a Star Wars geek. So initially I looked at this photo and I thought, okay, what is that? Okay, I'm looking up through a window, okay, and there's a building behind. And then I looked at it again, but no, it's not. It's a what do you call them? Imperial Star Destroyer. Yeah. It is an Imperial Star Destroyer. Thank you. Thanks for that, Jen. Yeah. We both like Star Wars, but she likes it more than I do. Yeah, that's a great image. I mean, that's what I like about this photo, is that actually, if you look at it, you can look at it two ways, because it's got that hard black area outside, which is the inside of the building that you're looking out through. If you think of that as space, you are looking at a spaceship just coming down, hovering over you. If you then look at it the other way, it becomes, you understand what it is. It's looking up through a roof or a window at a building in the background. So I love the fact that it does that for me, and it's interesting in that respect that you have two ways of looking at it. And
Can I add something?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, one of the things I loved about it was if you looked at this and didn't know what you were looking at, it's essentially just made up of lines. You could almost create it with a ruler and a black pencil, and just keep drawing lines of different thickness and different angles. And yet we look at it, and after a minute we go, yeah, I know what I'm looking at. This is an entire building, and I'm looking at it from another building, but it's just broken up, and that's clever use of tone.
Trades come.
Again, the colour's probably not as vibrant on the screen as it is downstairs, unfortunately, but, I hear sometimes people suggest that, the strength of a photo is the content. They look at it, it's an amazing building, or it's got amazing colours, but it still requires somebody to take the time to stop and look at it and to actually recognise it. And as Hans Strand would say, put corners around it. So I look at this, I think what makes it work even more is the fact that with all of these windows and all of these places that you would tend to look at and say, I wonder what's going on in there, the thing that really grabs you is the guy on the outside. So the placement of the building in a simple frame, the colours, there's actually colour tones in the sky, which I enjoy as well, which almost echo some of the colour palette of the building. And I think that's what makes this image work for me, is the use of colour, using the colour that's already there, being clever enough to see it, but then also to take advantage of what is maybe a palette in the sky, and then the placement of the person on the outside, just add another layer of narrative. So who's that? It's great. Yeah, Susi Nodding.
It's also be good because of the way it was all squared up. Everything was straight, and that's important when you're doing these architectural photos, to make sure that all your images are very straight, square. Speaking of straight images, those trucks are mostly straight, but on an angle, if that makes sense. When I looked at this, I thought, hey, that's a Tony Hewitt. So whoever this is, that's a compliment, by the way. There's such beautiful detail in that concrete. And Tony was talking about it, how you can break each of those panels up into squares. I can see 3 squares. What's that thing? Fractals or whatever it is? I don't know. Yeah, go fractal the image, and it looks like it's been taken obviously from a drone. Hopefully from a drone, maybe not, or a low-flying Cessna, or maybe someone zoomed in a lot, or had a phase 1 shooting with a phase 1 camera and had all that resolution to crop. But it's just slightly off, looking straight down, so that you can still see the sides of the trucks. And I love that view because it all of a sudden it doesn't look like it's straight down. You get to see what they are, but it almost looks like they're hanging off this plane, of this kind of strange kind of, they're just hanging there. But it's really strong in that it has great composition. You've got those diagonal trucks, and then you've got the straight trucks, or they're not trucks actually, or they're parts of trucks. What do you call them? The things that...
You got one that you...
The trailers.
Haven't you got one that you work out of?
yeah, I do, yeah. Yeah, stick container. So, yeah, it's beautifully done, really well seen. It's been edited perfectly, and I think it's a really strong, nice image. Peter, what about the Cessna? Peter, was it Cessna?
The textural overlay or the textual technique that's been applied to this almost brings a human element, and the monotone nature of the colour palette, again, sort of takes away any aspect of what I'm looking at, and it makes me start to think that I'm looking at almost personalities. And I see these as almost figures standing. The fact that we have these 4 bland silver concrete sort of poles, but the signs remind me that there's a softness that this sort of parking space is about. That's my reading into it as narrative. So one of the things that I find when you start talking about what you see in a picture is it's very personal. Some people can sit and go, oh yeah, that's kind of what I saw, and others go, what the hell are you smoking? But the thing is, I start with, what grabbed me? It was that textual feel, it was the monotone aspect, and it was the fact that they almost became like figures, like humanoid, and that gave them personality. That's all been achieved by a very strong and simple composition. I'm not being pulled out one way or the other. I'm being kept in the frame. The shadow line, or the perspective of the shadows in the bottom, keeps pushing me in and up. And then the shape of the circle of the wheelchair is the only real curve in the picture. So that kind of stands out as something different. All of these things, and we come back to what we started with. It's a banal image. It's nothing special. It's just an area where people park. And yet somehow a photographer's found a perspective and a way of presenting the image that makes it interesting and starts to evoke maybe a level of emotion or some other meaning. And I think that's what makes it clever. Whose is this? Christine, well done.
So, big round ball and a tree. Who would have thought, hey? You can put those things together and make something really beautiful. I love the fact that you've got these the nature of the tree, obviously. You got those curvy lines, the hard lines of the tree branches and the trunk, and then you've got this one round cylinder that's perfect and smooth and shiny and glossy. So it's the difference between those two elements that, when you take a photograph, you want to push and pull your audience. You want them to feel something. You want them to go, oh, I don't like it, or I do like it, or I feel sad, or I feel happy. So in that respect, you've got you can all these different things that you can do to make your image more powerful, more interesting. I mean, if anyone's had a fever dream, I used to have them when I was a kid, and I would have this vision of this smooth surface, and then all of a sudden it'd be interspersed by this rough surface that was big, and it was harsh, and it was scary, and I don't know if anyone else has had that dream, but maybe I should go see a psychologist. But so this kind of image is a bit like that, where you got that smooth and the rough, and also the orange. I mean, orange in a photograph is a winner. I love orange tones, any orange colours, orange and reds. If you want to sell pictures, red apparently is what people like, and blues, but mainly reds. A few greens thrown in and a couple of yellows. So there you go.
Well done, Julius. And Photographique, CANSON, the paper choice down there, and we're blessed with some magnificent papers on the market, and certainly CANSON provides a large chunk of those opportunities for people. I print on CANSON, and I know you printed on CANSON before. But yeah, we thank CANSON for their support. Really appreciate it. And as you have a look down there, you'll really appreciate what that paper can do for your print. And what do you think of that one? Drop the mic. Just make a general comment there. So just as a general comment on what we've looked at, I just want to remind everybody, as I said earlier, that one of the hardest things for us is not the judging, it's to give you reasons behind why something made the 40. So a lot of it is obvious, a lot of it is, yes, it's technically good, or yeah, I can see the composition, I can see why you like it. And some of them you'll look at and go, I don't get it, I don't know why you like it. And that's the reason you guys look at certain people's work and you love, and other people's you don't get either. So we get the privilege and the honour, and you know, and I know Christian doesn't always appear it, but he's as humble as, you know, the day's long. It is humbling to be able to stand and look at such an incredible level of work on your screen, and then to come in and see them printed and think, my gosh, you know, one of the things that worries me, and possibly worries you sometimes, is how hard it is to try and not just stay ahead, but to keep up with what people are doing. So congratulations to everybody who entered. Congratulations to those who made the top 40, because it meant both of us really, really connected with your image. And good luck to everyone in that 40 to see who comes out on top.
Good.
Who wants to say something?
I don't.
Thank you very much, Tony. Christian, just going to adjourn. So there's some dessert pizza. Not sure what that means exactly, but that'll be up the back. Sweets pizza. And then we'll be back in about 10, 15, 20 minutes. All right? Thank you.
For the award.
It's on already.
It's always on.
Oh, hot mic. Hot mic.
Oh, no.
Oh, what were you saying then? He was. I don't think it was on.
Was it a hot mic? You turned it off?
It wasn't on live feed. Imagine that.
The only guy in this room who looks like a girl's Christian, I reckon. What do you think?
All right, where is he? Ah, Christian, 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 got your job to do. Got your job to do. Job. Right.
I've been looking at images come through going, how the hell did that not get in?
Yeah.
Like, seriously. This is fucking amazing picture.
All right. Okay. Let's go up. Okay. I can do that.
Oh, what am I doing? Standing up? Yeah,
You're standing up. We're back into it, guys.
You need to go in the middle.
Well, I'm not going to be up here for long. So it's.
He's just going to...
Well, actually, I suppose I am. I guess.
Becomes the bloody moment of truth.
Yeah.
Shit.
Can we be seated or standing, whichever way we're working? We just want to talk very briefly about the history of this amazing little competition that we have here. It's been running since 2011. Yeah, well, yeah, but we had a few gaps in the middle. Well, one was a move, and one was called COVID, but we're not going to talk about that, all right? Okay, so just to run through the Hall of Fame as such, 2011 was Soul Visuals. 2012 was Ben Clegg. Do you remember the shop?
Yep. The shop down the building.
Yep, brilliant, absolutely. Cindy Buckham for 2013. Peter North. Peter's here, one of our Hall of Famers. Then we went to 16 for some reason, but anyway. Stuart Westmore. Stuart's probably online, I would say. Hi, Stuart. How are you? Then we've got 2017. That was a big year.
MB.
Yes, Mark Brelly. And 2018 was Dianne Kelsey. So there you go.
And here?
I don't think Diane's here. Okay. She couldn't make it tonight.
Okay, no worries. New Zealand. Oh,
shut up, you. So this is what it's all about. So let's, we've got I'll let you introduce the next section as such.
Okay, which is?
Which is the two images that, yes.
Okay, the honourable mentions.
The honourable mentions,
okay,
yes,
they're honourable mentions because the honourable Christian is going to mention one. So this year there was a first, second and third and a specialty category. The specialty category was a single person. But after a few headlocks and Ben came down and said, guys, stop fighting, we argued and we were allowed to include two more that got a special prize, which one's really valuable, and that is that you actually get to choose one of Christian's prints, which he will have printed on A3 paper, art paper, and you get to keep that print. So look on his website, pick the one you want. So that's an extremely valuable prize. Yeah. And the other one's one of mine, so... So we're going to have two, there'll be two special, so we're going to do those now. These are the two that didn't make the top sort of thing, but we just felt that there was too many there and we wanted to make sure something got. So,
it's up already.
Well, then Christian, you can explain.
This is one of my favourite shots, and I had to fight like hell to get it in, and didn't quite get there. But I wanted to give it an award anyway because I think it's an amazing photo, and even though they're only, like Tony said, they're only getting one of my photos.
No,
it's better than nothing.
Yours is great. Yours is
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
I've got one of yours hanging in my house.
have you? Oh.
You haven't got one of mine hanging in your house.
That was because it faded. I had to, had to get Peter Eastway.
He's got a lot of his own hanging in his
No, I haven't.
Yes, you
I
have.
hardly got any. Anyway, who won this? Who is this? Where's Mark? Is he here?
Is Mark here?
If Mark's not here, we're going to give it to someone else.
Remember you were talking about females, males.
Yeah, that's right.
Mark's the lawyer.
Mark's the lawyer, right? Okay. Okay.
Well done, Mark. And the one that I chose was this one because for me it kind of took us all the way back to where it started with the stop sign. And yet I just loved, when I've done these sort of shots or I've seen these shots that I like, it's always about all of these random things from a random corner at the back end of who knows where that's got pictures of absolutely nothing of interest. But somehow everything leads you to stay in the picture and it drives you around. All the lines within the image are important. They all take you somewhere. The telegraph pole on the left is just there in the edge to stop you disappearing out. Those lines take you in, lead you to things like skip bins, which mean nothing. And the whole thing is anchored on that beautiful red stop sign. And as Christian said earlier, most of these poles aren't straight except for the very central one, which anchors the picture alongside the stop sign. Yes, it is. I think so. This one's not. This one's straight. This one's straight. Does it really matter? No. It's my choice. I like this very, very much. Whose is it?
Stuart, Miss Moore.
Oh. On your Stu. I know you've got one of my... He's actually got two of my pictures, I think, hanging in his office. But another one coming your way, you pick it.
Can I have it, Stu?
So well done. Those two, as I said, we both sort of felt that we wanted to make a mention about. Good stuff. Special category. And this is the special category had to have a single figure inside the image somewhere. And this one was one we both pretty much nailed straight away, didn't we? Do you want to tell everybody why we liked it before we show it?
Because we both liked it.
Well, can I just let them know?
Talk about this, yeah.
Yes, case.
Thank you. Case filters. Very nice. Very nice.
Is that a filter? Is that a new type of filter?
No, because they're not here at the moment. And also a Leo photo. Now, it is a Poseidon tripod, which is water and dirt resistant completely.
So you can put underwater?
Oh. You could, absolutely.
And it's
Looks nice.
This is not it, because it's bright blue.
Oh.
But they're wonderful,
Perfect
but they're
for
still
underwater.
in China at the moment. So they will be here soon.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully.
All right, so just wanted to...
And the winner is...
Why? Why do we like it?
Yay! Hey, well done, mate. Well done.
Just a few words, mate. Just up on the old paper, mate.
Huh. What do we do now?
He's going to say a few words.
Hi.
The mic.
Yes.
Oh,
Tell us about the picture.
well, yeah, it's basically down that the old abandoned jetty down Coogee Way, and yeah, the little kayaker was just in there, and it wasn't a shark. Otherwise, I would have been like trying for that shot.
Put it earlier.
Yeah, but no, thank you very much. Yeah, awesome.
We'll have the
and thank
Poseidon for you and the filters in a very short
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
And isn't it appropriate that the winner of this can use the underwater tripod? You means
Yeah.
if there is sharks, you can go and set up the tripod.
Underneath, get the shot underneath. Yeah.
And the tripod would be fine.
Yeah.
You may not, but the tripod will be fine.
Cool.
Well done,
So
Joe.
thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Remember 3, 2, 1. Third prize, $1,000 to spend on a Sigma lens of your choice. Incredible range of things to choose from. And a Datacolor Spider X Pro. We're going to ask Christian exactly how to use that because he has no idea. Sigma lens. We have Kim Peacock here from CR Kennedy. Just wave. Can I tell you about CR Kennedy? I had a client that we were doing a bit of a workshop together up the coast, and they wanted a lens. And these guys organised a lens for their camera system from Melbourne because you guys didn't carry it. And it's true, they didn't carry it. Anyway, we had it sent over and brought up, and they were able to use it and organise it. And they're an international client. And they never forgot that, neither did it. So that's the sort of service you'll get from people like C.R. Kennedy, and the way they support guys like Team Digital is what makes us so lucky to be living in Perth. So good stuff, guys. Sigma, third place. And the person who gets the data colour monitor, there we go.
Chris could be with us tonight. But he can be in a very short period of time.
Are you going to ring him? So while we're getting Mr. Saunders on the phone, who's a talented photographer, it's interesting because this style started, we've seen a few different photographers applying this technique, and I think there's a few people out there sharing how they do it, and Chris is probably one of them. But this was the reason that I think this ended in our top three, and I think, Fletch, we both agreed on this. Well, we both agreed on this, right? Was it took this genre, it was using technique that's not necessarily new. This technique's been around for a while, and it took it into, it sort of added it to what we've been doing, and it brought us to another space that maybe a lot of this genre hadn't been. And we felt that the way it was done, it was so beautifully executed, and the way that the shape, colour, texture and form came together in a dreamlike state. For me, I love this image. Getting past the technique, I see it as often architecture, and maybe it's influenced by the architectural friend I had that conversation with. But to me, architecture starts as an idea or a dream. And to have an image that kind of reflects that dreamlike quality of an architecture's conceptual thinking. Are you listening to this, Chris? Because this is good. I was waiting for him. Well done, Chris. You've got third place, and you've just won a calibrator for your monitor, which Christian's going to teach you how to use. And you've also got $1,000 to spend on a Sigma lens with the great people at Team Digital and C.R. Kennedy. Do you want to say something?
Chris, are you there?
I'm here. Hey guys, how you doing?
Where is the speaker?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No one else
Can you
can.
guys hear him? Okay, speak up, say hello. There's 1,000 people here and they love you.
So look, sorry I can't be there tonight. I'm actually down in Pemberton, hanging off about 1 bar of 3G reception. So it's amazing we're talking at all. And I just love being involved in this competition each year. It's just forces you to get out there and try something different, and it's such a great community vibe. So congrats to you guys for putting on another awesome show, and look forward to catching up with you all for a few beers when I get back to Perth shortly.
Fantastic.
Well done, Chris Saunders. Congratulations.
Go on, Chris. Second place.
Epson printer.
It's a A2 906, the latest and greatest. It's unbelievable.
Is it?
Yep. The blanks are unbelievable.
And how
Remember, we take them out. Don't worry about that printer, guys. It's not gonna work.
Do you want to refresh? How long have you had an Epson printer for?
17 years.
Well, so I was just saying, you can shut up now because that's how long you've been using Epson. Yeah, me same. Yeah, good. Best printers in the world. Okay, second place. Whose shot was that?
Carl.
Oh, Carl. Doesn't anybody come to the live show? They just... It's a live show. It's supposed to be here. Going back to the image, again, as I said earlier, it was that taking again to another level. The same, we've seen telegraph poles. We've seen that stop by the side of the road, take a photo of something that most people drive straight past, and then add another layer of narrative, add another layer of interest in by putting on the water droplets. And whether it's through the windscreen or whether the narrative is helping us to see it that way, to me, you can't say that, we're live.
Oh, sorry.
The monotone colours, the subdued mood that we're getting, all communicated beautifully through this image, is the reason that this image has ended up getting second place in the Golden Shopping Trolley Awards. Well done, Carl.
Hey.
So you've won an Epson printer, an excellent Epson printer. Most of Christian's awards, he's only won 3, so they're all printed on that. But everyone else in the room's printed on that. So, Carl, do you want to say a few things? And everyone's going to listen very carefully. So you're in a room of about 2,000. Scroll. Carl, well done. Congratulations. What would you like to say?
Oh, mate, look, yeah, I'm absolutely wrapped. Extremely humbled, you know. I absolutely love urban photography, as you know, for me to get a second place here tonight is extremely humbling. Look, thank you very much. You guys are sensational. What a great show. And thanks so much to Team Digital as well for putting it on. It's just fantastic. Absolutely awesome. Have a great night, guys.
And was that, you said you wanted to thank Epson?
and I would also like to thank Epson, who I print with in my studio and my gallery as well. So thanks, Epson, for your support and for supporting the Golden Shopping Trolley Awards. Awesome stuff.
And I really like that you love the show, but you weren't here to see it.
Yeah, he's in Geraldton, are you?
Are you watching it live?
Yeah, I'm watching it live. I'm in Geraldton, so we haven't been down to Perth for way over a year.
Yeah, I wouldn't come here. It's full of disease. Well done, Carl. Awesome stuff,
Well done,
mate. Congratulations.
Okay, first place wins a phase 1. Oh, for a week. And an AZO monitor, one of Tony's 4. And also Ilford, all expenses paid exhibition, man. Including food and wine?
Yeah, but not caviar.
Not caviar. And pizzas. Yeah. And are we all invited?
Yes.
Ah.
I might even ask you to open it. Who knows?
Ooh, don't ask me.
It's up to the winner.
The winner is...
Well, wait a minute.
Oh,
Did we actually say who the sponsors were and everything? Did we have those?
We just did it.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
We do it again.
Okay. And who's this?
I don't know.
Oh, it's Dianne
Dianne
Kelsey.
hello. Dianne, you there?
I am.
Well,
So I'm looking at the video online and I can't see anything.
Oh, you can't? Why not?
It's
Oh,
10 seconds. Just wait.
hang on, we'll just... Hang on.
Ready?
No.
Congratulations, you won!
I did not, did I?
You did. And you've actually the only person in the history of the competition to win it twice, back to back.
That's some achievement,
Wow.
Dianne. Well done.
Wow.
So
Can I know it sounds...
well done. We loved your image.
Image of it.
Hang on, I can't hear a thing. We loved your image. We thought it was the most beautiful thing we'd seen in a long time. Tell us a little bit about it.
I don't know which image it is because I can't see it.
So it's the
Yeah, the good one, you know.
the one.
Oh, the win. Oh, that one.
Yes,
One. Oh,
that
yes,
old
that
thing.
was
Wait 10
one I
seconds, you'll
prepared
see it.
earlier.
Sorry?
I'm looking at it. There's nothing happening on the screen.
It's the white wall
just
with the tree in the blue window and the...
perfect. Thank you. I know. Yeah, the
We
sky
thought it was
cube.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You want to like to know about the image? It's the main image. It's one shot, and the tree against the sky is a separate shot. So it's just two images put together.
Yeah.
And it just caught my eye. When I put it together, I was in my concrete versus nature phase. And it just and the colours, of course, I'm partial to anyway, and I just put it together very quickly in lockdown.
Yeah, wow. Well, you did so well.
And
We loved it, and it was because of exactly what you just said, and the colours worked perfectly together. So, congratulations, an amazing image, and you're a worthy winner. So, so you got a lot of cool stuff coming your way.
And
wow!
just to remind you, you've got a phase... Sorry?
I'm sorry. I had a look. The sponsors were. This is the first prize. Is that what you're telling me? The winning one.
Yes,
you've won. You won.
Because I'm half asleep. It's 1:00 in the morning.
You don't have to.
I'm half asleep.
So essentially it's a phase 1. I won't go through the full details. Phase 1, Ilford and Azo.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
incredible.
Wow.
Wow, I'm blown away, and I'd like to thank all the sponsors and everybody. I wish I could be there. That was my 15 seconds of fame.
Yeah.
No,
30 seconds now.
Up to 30.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Well
you,
done,
everyone.
yeah.
And the images were superb. I just watched them watched you talk your way through them, and there was just so much quality.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, I'm going to have to. Looking at what everybody's doing, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to get out there and start thinking.
yeah.
But I've got my own train of thought, I suppose, like we all have. So,
Yeah.
congratulations to everyone else on their winning images as well, and for making the top 40.
Yeah, well done. Can I ask you a question?
You can.
Isn't it about 2 a.m. over there?
It is.
Oh,
That's
what?
why I'm rattling.
Worth waiting up for?
Where are you?
I'm in. Well, actually, on the west coast of New Zealand, South Island at the moment, in a little place called Hokitika. I've been doing a workshop for a couple of days.
Yeah, nice.
So, and I've been carrying my bag around. I've got a shocking back pain. So I've been crippled. Everybody else has been having to help me. So I slipped and hurt my back just before
That's
the workshop.
right.
So,
You're
but
getting
it's
no
been fun.
sympathy here because
Yeah,
they all wanted to win once.
Yeah, and I've had a bad haircut this week, so there's none coming from me either. So.
Yeah. Oh, it looks all right from where I'm sitting, but of course you're frozen. That's the only problem.
Oh, is that right?
Probably a good way.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're going to go.
I was looking at the YouTube video, and I was saying, God, they said they'd be back in 15 minutes. It's been 25,
Oh, yes.
and I still
Sorry about
can't
that.
get it to work. So
Yeah, we were talking,
Anyway.
sorry. Drinking beers. All right.
It's a 5-hour delay. You're in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Diane. We'll talk early next week.
thank you
Congratulations.
very much. Thanks
Well
to
done.
everyone. Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
While I get a little bit of housekeeping done, have you guys got anything that's coming up that you want to let...
I'm going to go back and get a new haircut next week.
Have you got anything coming up?
No.
Aren't you going to the Daintree?
Yes.
Les Walkling?
Yep.
Any spots left?
No.
Oh, that's useless. I've got an exhibition opening next week. Starts on Saturday at Linton and Kay Subiaco, called Continuum, and that'll run for about 3.5 weeks. I'm doing an artist talk on Sunday the 6th, I think, or something like that. You'll see it if you go to Linton and Kay or whatever. You'll see it. So that's coming up. Yeah, and then I've got an aerial masterclass. I was just in Shark Bay, and we just finished that. And I've got another one coming up in August, and there's one spot left. Only take 3 people. It was sold out, but the lady just got a new job, and she unfortunately had to ask me if she could step out. So that's fine. So now I've got a spot available. Yeah, and what else? Middlehurst with. I'm still marketing here. Can I keep going?
Yeah, go on.
I've got Middlehurst in July, Peter Eastway and myself, and that's when you and Les are up in the Daintree. So I think we got one spot left. We've got a second week opened up because it was full, and now we got one spot left on that. So yeah, a few things going on. But if you get a chance to see the exhibition, it'd be great. Thanks for having us. Can I just say before I go, what a pleasure to stand next to this guy. He's a true legend of the industry. He really is. Inspires me every day. I love the way he just comes up with something new, and I always enjoy standing here and just talking stuff with you and sharing and listening to how you think, because it's so weird and strange. But I say that with respect and love because it's so inspirational. I just love you, man. Thank you.
Oh, I love you too, Tone. Hey, watch the hair. And I want to thank Ben from Team for making this happen every year. It's a pretty awesome event, really. Think about it. You come up and you get to win a prize, you get to eat food, you get to drink free beer and wine, and he does it graciously every year. So we should all support him. Whenever we need to buy something, make sure you come and get it from Team. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Well, we really appreciate that you've come here tonight and listened to these two critique. Yeah, well, I wasn't going to say that, but anyway. No, it's been a great night. We couldn't have done it without your entries and making it what it is. We can't do it without the sponsors. We know who they are, and we'll be making a bit more of a song and dance about it. One of the things with the People's Choice is that we will be posting all of the top 40 on our Instagram, and if you just get people to like it, along with the live votes, and also that will go to the winner of the People's Choice. I would like to say thank you to my team, Michael, Jeremy, Jenny, and Trev. Well, not necessarily, yeah, but yeah, partner, yeah, for their huge assistance throughout for the whole comp. So I really appreciate it, guys. done a great job. Thank you. Oh, I think
There's one more thing.
what's that?
I want to thank these people for showing up every year like they do. I love the passion and the energy that they bring to what we love. We've been in this industry a long time. We see people who've been in a long time as well. And sort of Poppy down there. So there's a few others. And then there's some people that are the first, second time. And it's just such a privilege to be able to, as I said, for us to come here, look at your work, give some comments. But it's so refreshing to see that the industry is in such great community hands, and we thank you for coming along and sharing tonight with us and with Ben and the team digital.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, everybody. Right section, camera.